Alright, Zai here. It's Thursday morning, and instead of giving you an actual game, I'm going to give you 10 things to improve StarCraft 2. 5 of these are gameplay features, 5 of these are community features, and because you don't want to listen to me talk for 10 minutes, I drew some awesome-ass paint pictures that you will get to see. I tried to make the titles coded so that way I would know which ones to click, but you wouldn't know what they are. You might figure some of them out, but you should spend your time listening to me instead. Also, I will be streaming Sunday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I don't know if we're actually in Standard Time or if we're in the other time. Either way, Pacific, which is 1 p.m. Eastern. For you people in Brazil, that would be 2 p.m. Quebec's 2 p.m. I think Britain, England, whatever, 6 p.m. Germany, 7 p.m. Ukraine and Western Russia, 8 p.m. And I don't know if Russia has a second time zone. Sorry, Australia, Japan, and Korea, if you guys watch me. I don't know your time zones. And I'm just trying to pull the other ones out, like, from memory. So I could be wrong there, too, but I don't think so. Anyway, for all you people complaining that you don't know the time zones, there you go. Now, 5 gameplay features that I think we need to implement in this game. I already forgot what my first one was, so I'm going to just click the picture. Oh, the Protoss Death Ball. The resolution on this is really bad, but surprisingly, the Death Ball pictures on Google weren't very good. Well, you get the gist of it. Colossi, Void Ray, obviously some sentries in here, and no doubt some stalkers hiding under all these guys. Oh yeah, I see one right there, I think. Every Protoss game, every composition in game is going to have these units. That's like what Protoss do. I know that High Templar are getting, or like Zealot, Archon, High Templar, or whatever, are getting kind of popular against Terran, but I don't know. When I get late game with Terran, I find that this Death Ball works just fine. And it's kind of boring. I know Blizzard said they don't like how the Colossi is working, just because he's a big A-moving ground slaughtering thing. I don't know if you want to make him do a lot less to armor, that way things like roaches can actually have a chance, or just reformat everything. I think the Viper was intended to be able to kind of counter this Death Ball because all these things are ranged. I don't know if the Viper's Cloud would work on Void Rays, and you can hook Colossi and stuff, but the expansion's not implemented yet. We're not sure if those are going to be real. They need to do something though. Terran endgame, yeah, it's typically just Marine tank the entire game, but at least Ghosts are viable, Thors are viable in certain circumstances, Vikings, Medivacs. You're using pretty much everything. You still even do like Hellion Harass late game if you want. You're using pretty much everything, and Marauders against Toss. You're using everything except Battle Cruisers, which I'll get to later. And Zerg, you might be going Broodlords, you might be going Ultras if it goes late enough. The main 2 compositions are just Roach Hydra, Mutiling, but you're throwing Corruptors and Festers in the mix too. You don't just see the same composition. There's not one way to beat the enemy late game, like there's with Toss. So hopefully they fix that. MPs. Oh, yeah, okay, number 2. The maps. This is my awesome drawing of basically every map in StarCraft Ladder, except for Tal'Darim Altar, which we'll get to. So you've got your main with money. You've got your sneaky little drop / Nidus / if you're going to like go Banshees and you don't want to get scanned, you build stuff here. Got your main area to build, got your wall. Then you have your easy expansion that has a big choke, that way you can't force field. And then you have a giant middle area. The giant middle area you would think would be good for Zerg, but no, they throw platforms there, and a watchtower. That way Zerg can't get nice rounds or anything, because it's not like force field could be used, or stim. So they had to do that. Raptorlings would be great to stop that. Don't think it's going to be a multiplayer thing. They put some pretty grass in. And then there's the stuff off to the side. Ancient technology that for some reason none of the races decided to get in repair, even though this thing looks like it could blow up buildings in one shot. And critters. You can just read that yourself if you want. So here's the problem with fixing the maps. It would be great, like Tal'Darim Altar is a great idea for map, except for Protoss on Protoss is just 4-gate orgies every game, because there's no other option. Because of sentries and because of warp gates, and how quick you get warp gates, Protoss have to have this ramp. Zerg, they don't really need ramps, they don't wall in. Terran can easily wall in a much wider, like if this was a main, Terran could still wall in pretty easily, even before like 8 pools or anything do much damage. 8 pools don't do damage to Terran anyway. But Protoss, they need this ramp, otherwise it's just 4 gates every game. How do you fix that? Well, other than fixing warp gates and sentries, you kind of don't. The only other thing I can see doing is making a natural have the small choke on a map. The issue with that is now you get Terran and Protoss fast expanding a little too easily. So if you're going to do a map like that to make it bounce, because, you know, toss macro games few and far between, both players kind of have to subconsciously agree to do a macro game if they want with toss. And then if you are, if you have the natural with a smaller choke, you need a third that Zerg can conceivably take fairly fast. Because otherwise, again, the Terran could just do their normal wall off with the barracks and bunker out here and be extremely powerful. Or if you're going to do that, it needs to be a pretty large, like 2-player map. That way, your main base is huge and it leaves just lots more opportunity for harass and nidus and drops. You have to do something to balance out the fact that the other races get their expansion really easily. But I think they need to look into that more, because just go look at the maps. I'm not even looking at the maps, or have looked at them before I did this video. But that's kind of how all the maps work out. And then there's, you know, third base and stuff. But this part, it's, I don't know, it's kind of annoying. Marines is the everything. This is a professional chart. I got this with 12,000 games data. Break down the most common Terran unit by minute mark. 20 seconds SCV, 5 minutes 10 Marine, 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 fully upgraded Marines, super upgraded Marines, 31 racks Marines, Marines shooting out of battle cruisers, and Viking tank, because every other game's over. And Terran on Terran's the only game where Marine isn't the only unit to get. I don't know. You can go mech, but you'll lose. It's just bad. I don't know why Terrans go mech against like Zerg, unless they're just bored. Terran on Terran, you can do mech. Mirrors don't count, though. But the focus of Terran armies is always, always, always on Marines. You're going Marine Marauder, you're going Marine Tank, Medevac. That's all. Those are your strategies. You can try massing Hellions or a Heli Marauder, but these are all all-ins. In a good macro game, you're getting Marines. I've even seen Terran on Terrans, like, what's his MMA? He loves to do just mass Marauder with tons of Marine harass all around the map. Zerg do that to a lesser extent with Zerglings if they're going Mutas, but if they're going Roach, Hydra, well, I guess Infestors, they still get Lings. You can go Zerg games without Lings if you're getting Roach, Hydra, Infestor, if you're Roach heavy. Most games will have Lings, but it's not to the extent of Marines where, like, no matter what the enemy has, I'm going to get Marines. And I know people kind of mess of it as, like, it's a joke, no counter for Marines. 50 Marines walked into a bar and said, where's the counter? But it's kind of true. There's just no hard counter for Marines. Banelings can be nulled by split. Like, a Roach can't null an Immortal's attack by splitting or being cool. He can just eat it in the face. Marines don't have a unit like that. And even if they did, they'd probably still be the base of every Terran army. Come on, let's make mech more viable. Make battle cruisers viable late game, so that way at 45 minutes you just have battle cruisers shooting, no Marines in them. Come on. And that leads me to my next point. Capital ships. StarCraft 1, IGN. StarCraft 1, you could see battle cruisers and carriers used, especially carriers. They were beastly. StarCraft 2, I've seen battle cruisers in a couple Terran on Terrans, but that's about all. The Tempest, I think, is Blizzard's way of trying to fix this. The Tempest will actually decimate Marines and things, but I don't know. We'll see if it gets any play. And the battle cruiser getting a speed boost. We'll see if it gets any play. I mean, these things should be strong. Opponents should fear you when they see them, because it's risky to get them. While you're getting them, you're getting that extra building. You're taking a long ass time to get your army. It leaves like 3-4 minute long windows before you can even 3 or 4 cap ships out, where the enemy can just piss all over you or expand or do whatever they want to do. These things should be scary. It shouldn't be like, oh god, the enemy has a battle cruiser. Cool, I got 4 Vikings. I'm going to kite them. That's bad. And the final one, this is an idea that most of these other things might have been said by people. I feel like this is my own idea. Overlords need to accelerate. I'm actually going to add to this drawing. So you have an Overlord moving along. He doesn't effing do it. They're so bad at scouting. Zerg have no idea what their opponents are doing early game, because your opponents just hide their buildings. You have a base right here, and the opponents are like, alright, Zerg's over here, so I'm just going to put a couple Marines there, and I'll hide my buildings over here. even if the Zerg tries to flank around with an Overlord, I'll just have a couple guys here. It's really easy because you have depots and stuff, and I can put my tech here. He doesn't know if I'm getting 4 racks, if I'm getting Banshees, if I'm getting tanks. It's even worse for Protoss. Is a Protoss getting Void Rays? Is he going Robo? Or is he just going to go totally ghetto old school and get a 4-gate? You don't know. So, right, back to my point. Overlords need acceleration. If you send an Overlord in a straight line, he needs to slowly speed up. That way, like, when you're over here, you have to think, where do I want my Overlord to end? Do I want him down here? Well, if he's down there, he might not be able to get in the base and scout. If you send him from here into the base, this is getting very convoluted. If you send him from here into the base, you need to time that, right? Because if your speedy Overlord gets in the base too early, splat. If your speedy Overlord's getting there too early and you stop, well, then you have to start over and you're slow again. So I think a timing Overlord acceleration would be really cool because, I mean, the pros will get the timing down. Don't make them too fast, but like double their speed or something once they're at their max acceleration, even if it takes like 20 seconds to get to it. Just because that way you could hopefully survive longer to get some kind of early game scouting. Because right now I hate just rolling the dice to try and guess what the enemy's doing. It's like, oh cool, he got a Zealot and then a Sentry and then he made my Lings run away. Is he expanding? Is he just going to Immortal Cheese me? I don't know. By the time I decide, I'm dead half the time. And I know there's ways to figure it out, but I feel like Zerg don't have like scan or observers. So yeah. Alright, so those are my 5 gameplay features. I am going to, depending on the length of this video, either continue or release the second part of this video on Friday. I don't know how long I've been talking, so I'll have to see.